news is breaking down at the sound of political cow. Followers of a false belief, subject to endless grief. She helps to bring them relief. The influence of political cow. All your community loves you. We know that your heart is true. We would be lost without you. The influence of political cow. Political. Their lies are on the ground. Fake news is breaking down at the sound of political cow.
Hey guys, almost did a repeat there on the theme song. Welcome back. Can you even see me? Oh man, I need to turn the light on in here or something. I'll do that in a second, but wanted to continue the cabinet meeting, the marathon that it was. A lot of interesting topics hit last stream. We'll look to close it out this go around. I think it's unprecedented. I don't think anyone can, deny that fact. But this is the first time I've really seen this level of in-depth report out to the American people. And again, this isn't just for him. They're just not talking amongst themselves. The intent here is to give the public a direct view into how all different facets of government are operating and the accomplishments that they're having as they continue to advance their agenda. So, highlighting a couple of things that, have been talked about and maybe yet to be talked about, more on, oil and gas permitting, energy, more on workforce reduction for the government, all of that stuff coming up. So let me get it, let's get it up and running here, and we'll take a look at comments as we go.
And then as you're running for your second term, you put out a goal that when you put it out, I was thinking to myself, that's going to be a pretty ambitious goal. You said 10 for 1. Well, where we are right now, in just 1 month, in 1 year, basically 8 months, we are at 245 deregulatory initiatives planned by these agencies. That comes out to 30 for 1. So we are making incredible strides, and as you're focused on the details of each one, I mean, these aren't small things. Endangerment finding is one of the most deregulatory things in the history of this country. NEPA reform, incredibly deregulatory. WOTUS just came in, which is Waters of the United States. So every single one of these agencies is doing incredible work when it comes to deregulatory, and we add that to the work being done to get us going on energy, reduce spending. We're going to lower costs for the American people. We're going to be able to have innovative jobs and get them back to work. So thank you for your leadership, Mr. President.
Thank you. Great job, Russell. Appreciate it. John? Central casting, I call it. Central.
Well, Mr. President, I'm grateful to be with everyone today as we're talking about jobs and workforce at CIA, consistent with your directives to all of us. we've embraced your mantra for a leaner, more effective, more efficient workforce. But at CIA, Mr. President, we had an additional challenge because, as you know, at times, our workforce had been misdirected. Its focus put on political narratives, some that even worked against you and always worked against the American people.
I heard about that.
But under your leadership and your direction, we have been focused back on the core mission of what CIA is supposed to be doing, which is to provide you and this entire incredible team around the table with a decisive strategic advantage in accomplishing your goals. And your success in that regard, the examples are clear and many. With regard to Iran, everyone knows that our DoD partners executed that mission flawlessly. But flawless military operations are subject to flawless intelligence. And as you know, Mr. President, CIA was the backbone in terms of its intelligence operations in providing that flawless execution that allowed you and your team to obliterate Iranian nuclear facilities and set back a nuclear program by years. Likewise, with regard to your ability to prevent and to preempt wars between India and Pakistan, between Armenia and Azerbaijan, between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. In all those cases, CIA intelligence supported you and your entire team in making that possible. It's not just you, it's folks around this table, Secretary Bessent, Secretary Luckman, Trade Representative Greer, and their great successful negotiations on trade and tariffs. Again, it was a CIA workforce working to enable them to accomplish your goals. So as we roll into Labor Day, I tell you that the CIA workforce at the Trump CIA is grateful to be focused on what it's supposed to be, which is helping you prevent and end wars and to make America safer.
Good. Thank you very much. You've been really fantastic, but I'm not surprised. I've known John a long time. I'm not surprised at all. Thank you very much. Steve, please.
Mr. President, working for this government, for you, is the greatest honor of my life. I tell it to everybody, and I really do feel that way, and I thank you, because it's a privilege to go out there and represent you in your humanitarian effort, in your goals of solving conflicts all over the world. I think there were actually more than 7 conflicts that you've put to bed in the last 8 months. And I hear these, I travel all over the world. In Hostage Square, they talk about you reverentially. It's really quite amazing. I sometimes wish that I had a cam recorder with me and I could put you right there as I listen to it. I was in Gaza, the first American diplomat. On your behalf, and as we delivered food and aid pursuant to your new aid initiative, pushed forth by your great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who it is a privilege for me to work alongside. The people were applauding you. The signs were up. I mean, these are people who I just don't think you get the proper credit for it all. We are negotiating multiple entries into the Abraham Peace Accords because of your vision. Azerbaijan, all these different conflicts that we're out there on your behalf on, these are people who have never really seen the world change in this way. Peace through strength really, really works. Russia, Ukraine, Iran, Israel, Hamas, we're having meetings all this week on all 3 of those conflicts, and we hope to settle them before the end of this year. Your team is nothing short of incredible. And there's only one thing I wish for, that Nobel Committee finally gets its act together and realizes that you are the single finest candidate since the Nobel Peace, this Nobel Award was ever talked about, to receive that reward. Beyond your success is game-changing out in the world today. And I hope everybody one day wakes up and realizes that.
Thank you, Steve. Jameson, please.
Mr. President, I like to think of Labor Day as the Trump trade policy day. Because everyone around this table and everyone listening knows that one of the major reasons why American workers and organized labor voted for you is because of your trade policy and the policies you've had and advocated for 40 years or more. you have reset global trade policy in the past few months, and it shows that's been working for American workers. When you look at President Biden, in the last quarter of 2024, median weekly earnings fell 2.1%. In the first quarter of your term, they went up 3.3%. And that's why we're doing the trade policy we're doing. It's to help the workers of the United States of America. And they're the best in the world, but they can't do it without a level playing field. And you have flipped the script. For many years, the other countries had high tariffs and high non-tariff barriers, while we were open to, right, to all of their labor and services and goods and capital. You flipped it. Now we have the tariffs, and they have lowered theirs and the non-tariff barriers. And we couldn't have done it without you and the leverage you've created. So between the tariffs and the deals, the hot streak continues for the workers of America. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Really good job, by the way. He's a good negotiator. Good negotiator. Thank you. Please.
Well, Mr. President, I feel like, as everybody here has talked about how great working with this team is and all, but I do feel a special need that you've given me the privilege of working with the best of America. I get to take care of the veterans. I get to take care of the veterans who Labor Day really finds its roots in, if you think about it. We wouldn't have Labor Day if it wasn't for men and women who would leave their jobs and go fight this nation's battles to keep us free and independent so that they would have jobs to come home to. And over the past few years, they've been coming home to many times a government that was keeping them back, holding them back, taxing them, regulating them. And now we have veterans who represent the bill, the big, beautiful bill, they're the beneficiaries of. And I get to see them all the time because they're receiving the benefit because they see the jobs, they see the care that they're being given. And these veterans can look at their country with pride, knowing that we're taking care of them, just like you told me to do. When your only statement you said to me, I asked you what to do, you said, go take care of my veterans. Well, that's what we're doing. One of the other things we're doing right now is, for many of you, I love to hear how you're deregulating everything, and I've worked from Congress and worked with many of you before. I get to do the same thing with the largest bureaucratic organization in the government. We're deregulating from the inside. And it's amazing to me because we have such a powerful workforce at the VA who really want to do good, but yet they kept tripping themselves up. They kept making their own, they'd take one step forward and put a regulation in that put them 3 steps back, and it always hurt our veterans at the end. We're taking that away. We're making community care again, Mr. President. We talked about this yesterday. We're making community care a part of our direct care system. So if a veteran wants to get into the community, they have our direct care and they also have the ability to go into the community. Something that the previous administration decided they wanted to keep everybody inside because they thought it was a fiefdom they were building. I'm telling you, we're not building a fiefdom at the VA. We're trying to take care of a service organization that takes care of veterans. So how do we do that? We made best medical interest where a doctor can send a veteran to the community a lot quicker without having to worry about miles and time logged and wait times. Just get them the help they need. We've actually expanded out, and it's made a difference in this regulation, and also unleashed a workforce that is now free of the collective bargaining agreements and other things that have kept them from being able to do the job of national security that they've been intended to. I'm actually giving them the benefit of the doubt to actually go be the workers that they're called to be, and that's what Labor Day is about. The VA is going to have the best workers. But just to let you know how that's working out, wait times at our hospital are going down because we're getting them in our hospitals or into community care. And then one for you, Mr. President, you heard about this a lot, and that was backlogs. If the backlog when I first came in, I've said this before, in February we had over 260,000 backlog. That means over 125 days of not getting an answer. In just a little over 4.5 months, we've dropped that over 100,000. We're under 150 and heading down to historic lows. We'll be within the next month lower than any time under the previous administration at all. That means our veterans are getting the help they need. So when you look at it this way, we've opened new facilities. We've put new facilities in places where workers can get to. We've expanded out hours, over 1 million extra hours, so veterans, younger veterans in particular, can get off of work and bring themselves and get their appointments in after hours or on Saturdays. That's what it means to be in the Trump administration. That's what it means to take care of veterans. That's what it means for Labor Day. Because you can't forget the ones who fought for us to be on this table today. And it's all because of what you've done and the progress that we've made.
Well, you've done a tremendous job, and I hear it all the time. We have a 93% approval rating at the VA now. And you know what it was before? It was like horrible.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Mr. President, There's been some conversation about the Pete and Bobby challenge. I would just note that I don't think Pete or Bobby could hold these sticks for 2.5 hours.
Exactly.
If they want that to be the challenge, so be it. But I think 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups might be
You know, it is
easy compared to
impressive.
it. Really
It is. They
We
are
didn't
pretty
have
good.
this problem with Biden.
We're not
It was
shaking.
in and out very quickly.
So kudos on Labor Day to the audio team that's holding the sticks. But Mr. President, it's pretty great to celebrate Labor Day with a builder who loves labor, who loves the men and women who have built this country, the people that sweat, that have great skills, they have grit. They do the dirty jobs of America that have made this country great, and you know them very well because you have worked with them. The great Trump projects have come from the very men and women we're going into this weekend to celebrate. We all want to claim Labor Day in our departments, but I'm going to claim this at DOT because, you know, roads, bridges, pipelines, shipbuilding, rail, passenger, and freight all fall under the great men and women who wear boots and make this country wonderful. And at DOT, we don't want to have the Congress spend money. We want to take the money that Congress gives us and actually deploy it and put these men and women to work building the great projects of this country. That you said, the big, beautiful projects that connect this country. And that's why we have got rid of the DEI. We've got rid of the green. We've done what we can to streamline the regulation to move these projects faster. Time is money, and time has been money. Even Democrats agree now that it takes too long to go through the regulatory process. So we're going to move these projects faster, putting the great American worker back to work. I want to make a quick comment. We've all probably talked about this horrific accident in Florida, and I appreciate the help of Christy and Marco on this very issue. But in May, we said, listen, it's a safety issue if you can't proficiently speak the English language. And we gave states a little over a month to comply. And Washington, California, and New Mexico have refused to comply. And by the way, this individual in Florida received a CDL from Washington, from California, and received a speeding ticket after our rule went into place, and they didn't stop him. And had they taken him out of service, he wouldn't have been in Florida, and we would have 3 beautiful people alive today. And I make that point because it's the work that maybe no one sees that then shines a light when horrific things happen, but also that your cabinet works together and teams up to make a difference for the American people. Real quickly, so we have a safety mission at DOT. I don't know that you'd think of the transit unions in the greatest cities of the country, New York maybe being one of them, that support us, but they do, because the violence in the subways and on our buses across the country, the transit workers are the ones who take the most abuse. And they're grateful for the mission of everybody around this table fighting to make their communities safer. So I appreciate everyone's help on that. But the transit unions love the effort that all of us have put in together. One quick FAA. We are about to put out a request for proposals for a big, beautiful bill. We got build. We got $12.5 billion in the big, beautiful bill. We need more, but this is a great start. I expect the middle to the later part of July, we'll be through the process to bring the proposed integrators to you for selection. So we're looking forward to that. We will have the most. I'm learning from you. This is going to be the greatest contract ever crafted in the federal government for this build for air traffic control. Really, it's innovative, and we have unique tools at FAA. It's going to be a great contract. Bobby left me out of the windmill conversation, Bobby, so there was a study done in the last administration that said if you build windmills 1.2 miles, within 1.2 miles from a roadway, it can mess up the automation and technology on a car. Same thing 1.2 miles from rail. The last administration buried that report, Mr. President. And so now what we've said is, what we're going to do is say, listen, I'm sorry, it is a safety risk to build windmills this close to roads. By the way, they want to build them by roads and by rail. We're going to say no more. It is a safety risk, and we have a report to show that. And just real quick.
It's a good idea. That's
It's a
great.
good team effort. I wasn't invited to the party, but I'm still going to the party. Maybe next time, Bobby. One last thing, we have this Mars to Moon mission at NASA. No, Moon to Mars mission. Sorry about that. But sometimes people think that space doesn't matter to them. But if you look at every rocket that's launched, the machinists, the truck drivers, the electricians, the welders that build these rockets, in the industry that has developed over the course of the last 10 years in space, it's truly remarkable. It's not just rich guys setting up rockets in partnership with NASA. There's a whole industry of working men and women who we celebrate this weekend that build, refurbish, design the rockets that are making America the leader in space. So thank you for your leadership, and happy to celebrate
Thank you very
this
much,
weekend
John.
with you, Mr. President.
Really great. And he is doing a good job at NASA too, and we are, I think we'll have some pretty exciting announcements,
Yes, we do.
and you enjoy it.
It's been fun.
I said, how about temporary? He said, well, can I go a little bit longer? He loves it. He loves it, and he's doing a really good job. Thank you very much, appreciate it. Howard, please.
So, making America great again is one of the key statements, and people don't always understand what you mean. So, we always talk about 1870 to 1913, but in the mid-1980s, America owned more of the rest of the world than they owned of us. We owned $140 billion of the rest of the world net of what they owned of us. And when you came into office this time, the rest of the world owned $24 trillion more of our assets than we owned of theirs. And so when people argue with you about, the trade deficit is nothing, the trade deficit sends 1.2 trillion of our dollars to them. And what do they do with it? They buy the great America. Because when we learned in college, what we learned was that if you keep printing these dollars, they're supposed to devalue. But the problem is we're too smart. We invented the light bulb, the transistor, the GPU, so they keep buying us. And the only president ever to understand it, and you understood it in the 80s and the 90s, and I used to see you on TV and you'd say, God, what are these people doing? And finally we've changed it. So let's go over what we changed. So Japan and Korea, they're never gonna open their markets to us. So we've negotiated $900 billion that they're giving you to invest in national and economic security in America. The European Union, the second largest economy, $20 trillion. And all the experts said, you'd never get a deal done with them. And watching you in Scotland was my favorite thing, right? 15%, they'll pay us 15%, and we will pay zero. So we can export to their $20 trillion economy, and they can pay to come to the great American consumer, right? So, a couple of other things. 4 days before you took office, the Commerce Department, which had the CHIPS money, they set up this thing called NatCast, which was a make-believe not-for-profit. And they signed contracts to wire them $7.4 billion. This was just nonsense. So we stopped the payment. We've got the money. It's an illegal thing to try to set up a department that's not the Department of Commerce, that kind of acts like the Department of Commerce. And what was it filled with? All these people who worked for the Biden administration. I mean, it's exact corruption that you talk about. $7.4 billion now clawed back. Last week was the most fun. In 1 week, Intel came in, right? The Biden administration had given $11 billion to Intel, given it to them, done. Corporate just gift. And you turn that into really, it was like less than 5 minutes of conversation, and Intel agreed to give us 10% of their company, which of course was worth $11 billion. So it's not socialism. This is capitalism. If you give someone $11 billion, who's just building in America, they're not doing something special, they're building in America. And their CEO told the president he didn't need the grant. And you said, well, then why don't we get something for it? So it's amazing. You're going to watch semiconductors come home. right? We don't produce semiconductors. We've got 165 billion for TSMC, but you're going to watch the whole ecosystem come home because Donald Trump is the only president who understands the magnet to make them come home is one word, which used to be your favorite word. Now it's dropped to number 4, which is tariffs, right? Tariffs are going to bring semiconductors home. They are going to empower Bobby to execute MFN. Tariffs are going to be one of those tools that he's going to use to do that. We're going to do it for furniture. We're getting autos. We have steel, aluminum. I mean, it has been a blast, a blast. So 2 more things. The Department of Commerce is going to start issuing its statistics on the blockchain because you are the crypto president, and we are going to put out GDP on the blockchain so people can use the blockchain for data distribution, and then we're going to make that available to the entire government so all of you can do it. We're just ironing out all the details so we can do it. Patents. We have given tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars to universities for them to do research, and they invent things. And you know who owns those patents? The universities. So we are going to make a deal with them all, which is if we give them the money, don't you think it's fair that the United States of America and the taxpayers who funded it get a piece of that, right? So we wrote a letter to Harvard, so Linda and I working together. I mean, it's so much fun to work with everybody here. I mean, we just have a blast, you know, because Linda's hitting Harvard and she says, what can we do? And now we send them a patent letter and we'll hit them again. So we're having fun together. This is the greatest cabinet working for the greatest president, and I just want to say thank you. I'm having the time of my life working for you, Mr. President.
Thank you. That was very well stated, wasn't it? Some things people don't think of too much. Thank you very much. Great job. Pete?
Sure. Well, amen to what Howard said. And I would just say, heading into Labor Day from the American military, sir, we happen to be the largest employer in America. We like to think we have a different form of employees.
Yeah.
Who need to be the toughest and the strongest and the most well-trained and the most lethal. And under the previous administration, and for decades, frankly, it was social justice, it was political correctness, it was divisive ideologies seeping into the ranks and changing how well we do our job. No more. Now it is only merit-based, gender-neutral, colorblind, the best of the best from the top to the bottom. That's our expectation. And sir, you've enabled that. So from the troops directly, which they ask me to say all the time, thank you for your leadership, for your boldness, for your clarity, for common sense, for providing a shield for the rest of us to put America first and to apply peace through strength. We're in the strength business. That's our job, is to stand behind everybody here and alongside John in everything they do to keep the country safe. And the world is noticing. And I wish everybody could. There were 2 meetings yesterday that I think tell the story. One was, because today happens to be the 4-year anniversary of what happened in Abbey Gate in Afghanistan. Mr. President, you had the families in, who you've met with multiple times, who when the cameras were on and not on acknowledged, sir, you were the only one that gave them a proper greeting, that recognized what they gave their sons and daughters in the debacle that was the withdrawal in Afghanistan, that we will bring accountability for at the Defense Department through our investigation.
That's good.
But at the same time, the world sadly took notice. Whether it was Israel, whether it was Ukraine, those wars never would have started if you were president. Instead, they looked at the foolishness of Joe Biden. Under your military, your Pentagon, we are restoring deterrence. Whether it's Midnight Hammer and those beautiful B-2s, 37 hours straight, whether it's counter-drug operations in our own hemisphere, whether it's the border, working with Christie and the national security team, whether it's LA, whether it's Washington, D.C., you name it, whether it's Europe. Our allies paying 5%, now our allies in the Indo-Pacific stepping up to do the same. That's a recognition that American leadership is here. And then in the second meeting, we were talking about what we're doing in D.C., and Pam's taking the lead. I have to say, just pause for a second. When I look around this table, yes, there's a national security team of Steve Witkoff and John and Scott and Howard and the vice president and Susie and Christy and Tulsi, but to every person here, we work together on a daily basis. And if you call me and I call you, the answer is yes. How do we do it together? I think that's exceptional. It's what the American people deserve, and you've demanded that, sir. So I very much appreciate it. In that meeting on DC, I started my sentence by saying, the Department of Defense. To which you said, that just doesn't sound right. So maybe next time we're here, my card will read Department of War. We'll see. But it's not, here's the thing, here's what people miss. It's not just about words. It's about the warrior ethos. It's about what the department is supposed to do. George Washington started the Department of War because he wanted us to win our wars. Our founders didn't want endless foreign entanglements. They didn't want endless contingencies and deployments. They wanted an empowered military that was, the handcuffs were taken off to fight to win, and then bring those troops home. So my platoon in Guantanamo Bay, our motto was, those who long for peace must declare for war, must prepare for war. We don't want war, we don't seek it. You are the peace president, sir. Because we are strong, our enemies know what we will do. And so whether it's Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense, that warrior ethos is changing. We're going back to basics. Our drill instructors can be drill instructors again, sir. So from the minute of the tactical of standards to the strategic of B-2 bombers, we're focused on what matters. Had a meeting yesterday on Golden Dome for America, which is on track to deliver strategically for the American people. Munitions and the Deputy Secretary making sure our stockpiles are overflowing. That's our job. I'm an honor to be a part of it, sir. Thank you for your leadership.
That's great. I think I like Department of War better, but we'll make that decision, right? But you've been great. Thank you very much, sir. So Marco, go ahead.
Well, Mr. President, first of all, everyone's made this comment already and needs to be echoed. Again, you were elected as the President of Working Americans, and that's why this Labor Day is so meaningful. For me personally, this is the most meaningful Labor Day of my life as someone with 4 jobs. And so, it's true. And but on the point of, you made it very clear from the outset, even in foreign policy, everything we did has to be pro-American. It has to make America stronger or safer or more prosperous. And there's just a few things I want to touch through because it involves your team under your leadership making it happen. The first is, for the first time in the modern era, we are truly on offense against organized cartels that are pumping poison, killer poison, into our cities. And that's a team effort. It's Christie's team, it's Pete's team, it's Pam's team, and obviously it's under your leadership. And by the way, we're getting incredible economic, international cooperation. Countries just in the last week, Ecuador, Paraguay, Guyana, Trinidad, today Argentina, all joining us or trying to be helpful in advancing this. And this just, one thing is we're going to stop drugs from coming in and we're having record seizures, but another thing is to build an international coalition against the scourge on the international stage. The second is mass migration, illegal mass migration, which is dangerous for the country but harmful for American workers. What's happening on the border is essential, but it's not just what's happening on the border. And again, Christy and her team have been essential in this. We have countries all over the world that are actually helping us, whether it's through safe third country agreements, whether through it's stopping the migration flow from coming here in the first place. Incredible international cooperation. You've redefined our border. It's no longer just our physical border. We are doing things ahead of time to prevent this from happening and getting cooperations from countries that we've never seen before. And last, I would say, and Steve touched upon this, who, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job. Steve is both a great negotiator and he's also a nice guy, which are 2 tough things to pull off together. But it's incredible. But we both work for the peacemaker in chief. Think about it, how fortunate we are as Americans to have a president who's made peace a priority. And just since the last time we've met, there was a war going on in Cambodia and Thailand. Between Cambodia and Thailand. The president just picks up the phone and tells them to stop fighting, and within 72 hours, the fighting had stopped. There's no other leader in the world that could have done it. And the fact that you were willing to spend time to do that and to make it happen is, of course, essential. And then the war that didn't happen because of Azerbaijan and Armenia coming here to sign that peace deal, which is historic in so many countries. Many countries said, that's never going to happen, it isn't possible. And it occurred, Mr. President, because of your leadership. And then on a point of personal privilege, I wasn't even going to raise it. I haven't even talked to you about this. It's a little controversial, but I think I need to bring it up at this time of year. This thing about people getting married on Saturdays during college football season is a scourge, Mr. President. It's dividing families. And I don't know if we can have an executive order on this, I'm just saying, but it's really difficult. There's 7 other months of the year that people could get married, so I just wanted to say that because it's very, very difficult. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Doug, please.
Well, Mr. President, you've heard from around the table how people are grateful to have an opportunity to be part of this team, have an opportunity to work for you, and have an opportunity to serve the American people. And I would say as we head into this Labor Day, the thing that really differentiates you and your leadership and everybody around this table is one word, and that's respect. Because this is a group of people that respect our farmers and ranchers. We respect the people that are in law enforcement. That's a huge change. Respecting the people that are in uniform, respecting our veterans, respecting our the shrimp fishermen. I mean, whoever it is in this country, people that are building our roads. This whole group embodies that sense of respect. And when we start with that, then who benefits? We come up with policies that help those people. And what have you done? You've led an opportunity for us to have the lower taxes, way lower deregulation, record amounts of investment that's coming into this country. We're going to be seeing lower interest rates. All of those things coming together is a gift to the working people. The policies are lifting everybody up. There's 140 million Americans that get up and go every day and drive to work. They commute. And one of the most obscene things of the prior administration was their energy policies was creating a hidden tax on those people. The poorer you were, usually the further you had to drive because you couldn't afford the housing if you were working at a hotel, if you're working in a service industry. We were taxing them. A hidden tax on them was the high cost of energy. You're perhaps one of the only leaders in the world that understood the connection between peace abroad and prosperity at home was directly connected to energy policy. You came in and said, we're going to sell energy to our friends and allies. We're going to bring prosperity at home through policies here by having lower energy prices. And we're going to stop funding wars abroad with energy policies that help their adversaries and hurt us. You said we're going to sell energy to our friends and allies. And with the work that Jameson and Howard and Scott and everyone has done on these trade deals, we're going to have an opportunity to have a renaissance in American energy, selling energy to the world, which is going to help bring peace abroad. But the real key thing, in closing, I want to say is,
you know, a lot of folks talk about bootlicking and the way everyone's opening up. But do you guys think he really means it? I mean, all of these folks, they really are committed to the vision and the outcome that's been projected by the president. I mean, I think it's more that than anything else.
Two things. One has to do with the U.S. Park Police. That's the group here in Washington, D.C. They're the oldest uniform law enforcement group in the nation. You coming out and visiting with them in person before they went out on the surge. Not only are carjackings down, muggings down, homicides down, everything down. Morale is through the roof. Just like Pete saw, we've got record people signing up to want to be part of our military. You have breathed life back into the profession of law enforcement. Your respect for law enforcement is so incredible. It's making a difference. And then us giving them the tools. On a lighter note for everybody here, one of the rules that under President Trump we were able to change for the U.S. Park Police was they could do a pursuit. I was shocked to find out when we were talking to them, like, oh, you pull somebody over and they just drive away and you can't pursue them? I mean, and they said, no, we can't. They said, all rules. We got that rule changed in 24 hours because of President Trump's leadership. The next night, they had so much fun. They pulled people over. They started to take off. They chased them. They stopped them. And then the bad guys, some of these were in cars that had stolen plates. So they take the plate off. They steal them off somebody else's car. They know it. The plate doesn't match. They know they're doing this thing. The bad guys in the car said, What, you're not supposed to chase us. Like, you're breaking the rules. The bad guys are telling us to break. No, we're back in action. So it's like, and so the morale is high. They all wanted to say thank you to you. Yesterday, you announced increasing the number of U.S. Park Police that we're going to hire. This is the group that protects not only our sacred monuments of democracy here, but also the Statue of Liberty and the Golden Gate. This is a great group. But on behalf of all law enforcement, we say thank you. And as Chris Wright was talking about electricity, I want to close with that. We've solved amazing things in 7 months, but the big challenge we have against the remaining is, solving Iran's nuclear thing, that was an existential threat. China beating us in the AI arms race, that's an existential threat. We finally have a president who talks about it. You talked about it in your opening remarks. You've signed executive orders. You understand that essentially we used to say hundreds of years ago, people started saying that knowledge is power. But now, for the first time in history, we can take electricity and we can convert it into intelligence. So it's flipped. It's no longer knowledge is power. Power is also knowledge. And while we're ahead on the technology, we're way behind China on the amount of electricity they're bringing online, and your strong position to support affordable, reliable energy using our nation's resources, including those across the Department of Interior, bringing back coal mining, bringing back mining, bringing back timber. All the industries that have been killed in this country are coming back to life because of you. And with your leadership, we have a chance to not only win the AI arms race, but actually dominate it the way we're dominating in other things. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And we're leading that race right now by a lot. And we're going to keep the electricity coming. You know, in China, they do it very quickly. They have one person that says, do it, and that's it. But essentially, we have one person that says, do it. And we've given that order, and the job they've done has been amazing. And I want to thank again, Lee, what you're doing in that regard is so important. And the rapidity, just as fast as them, because it's a question of a week versus a day, and that's not going to make the difference. But you've done fantastically, and Doug and Chris, amazing job. So we've done this for a little while now. I don't think you've ever seen anything like it, and you know, I think Sean was right. These guys that are holding this up, if you ever try holding your hand out for 2 hours, that's a long time. These are pretty strong characters. You've been doing that a long time, I guess. Congratulations. Are you getting tired? Are you getting tired? I'm looking at these guys. They look like they have no problem. It's amazing, actually. It's I think they would have beaten you guys in the test. So I want to thank you. If you want, you know, it's been a long time. If you want, we could go in and we can call it a day. No? And feel free then to ask some of the questions here. Look, I believe in very open, you know, we want to be open, above board. We want to be honest with the media. I wish the media was totally honest with us, but I think they're getting better, to be honest with you. And so we'll see. But if you want to take a few questions, you really want to do.
On a serious note, when it comes to Fed Governor Lisa Cook, her lawyer has said that they're going to be filing a lawsuit challenging this legal action. What is your response? Are you prepared for a legal fight? And then a little bit
Oh, sure, always. You always have legal fights. Look, I had a legal fight that went on for years with crooked people, with very horrible people, people that have been found out now between John Ratcliffe and Tulsi and Pam, and I mean, the things that we found out, of course. It's a very, very sad group of people. But no, she seems to have had an infraction, and she can't have an infraction, and especially that infraction because she's in charge of, if you think about it, mortgages, and we need people that are 100% above board, and it doesn't seem like she was. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, first, I would love to ask you a serious question, but I have to tell you the biggest pop culture news of the year broke while we were in this cabinet meeting. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged, and the world wants your reaction, sir.
Well, I wish him a lot of luck. No, I think I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person. So I wish them a lot of luck.
On a serious note, Mr. President, in May, Secretary Rubio said that they were aggressively removing visas of Chinese students. Yesterday, you said you wanted to allow 600,000 Chinese students to study in the United States. Could you and the Secretary clarify what is the policy on Chinese students in the United States?
Well, we think we're getting along very well with China. And I'm getting along very well with President Xi. I think it's very insulting to say students can't come here because they'll go out, they'll start building schools, and they'll be able to survive it. But I like that their students come here. I like that other countries' students come here. And you know what would happen if they didn't? Our college system would go to hell very quickly. You'd have, and it wouldn't be the top colleges. It would be colleges that struggle on the bottom. And you take out 300,000 or 600,000 students out of the system. I like having, and I told this to President Xi, that we're honored to have their students here. Now, with that, we check and we're careful and we see who's there, and Marco wants that. We spoke, we're in the same position. But we have a tremendous college system, the best in the world, nobody even close. That's why China sends them here. And you can call it an industry if you want, but you're talking about millions of people. And I'm honored to have the students from China come here. And we're just getting along very well with China. And it's a different relationship than we had for years, where they took hundreds of billions of dollars, just sucked it right out of our country. They respect us again. I respect them. The relationship is very good. I think it's important that these are two very major powers, nuclear powers at that, but two very important powers. You know, when I get along with Putin, when I get along with President Xi, when I get along with these people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. We're tough and we're smart and we're strong. We get along. It's a lot better than not getting along. You had somebody in here before. The war should have never started with Ukraine and Russia. It would have never started. And Putin said that himself. President Putin said that himself. So we want to see college students come in from countries. There are some countries that we can't necessarily say that. These are places that have ideologies that we can't live with. So there are some areas, some countries that we can't say that. But we're honored to have the students come here. Please. Yeah, please.
Yesterday you said that within 2 to 3 weeks we'd have a conclusive, pretty good conclusive end to the war in Gaza. What did you mean by that? And could you tell us
On what?
in the war in Gaza?
Yeah, what about it?
You said in 2 to 3 weeks we would have a conclusive end, a pretty good conclusive.
There's no conclusive. It's been going on for a long time. You're talking about, I guess if you really add it up, Steve, you're talking about thousands of years, okay? It's been going on there's nothing conclusive, but hopefully we're going to have things solved very quickly with regard to Gaza and also with regard to Ukraine and Russia.
Mr. President, is there considering for the replacement to nominate for Lisa Cook, and what economic background or history are you?
Well, we have some very good people for that position, and I think we have some very good people. We're down to, I think I maybe in my own mind have somebody that I like, but I deal with Scott and I deal with Howard, and we're dealing with a lot of people actually that are going to be involved in that decision ultimately. It's a very important decision. As we see, I got a bad recommendation when I went with Jerome Too Late. You know, he's too late. His nickname is Too Late, costing us a lot of money, hurting the housing. Our housing industry is good, but it could be phenomenal. Most of this country, in economic terms, has been.
So real quick, the problem with being too late is that you'll have to do too aggressive of cuts too quickly, and then you start doing the overshoot thing. You went too far, inflation kicks up, then you're going to have to overshoot on the other side and bring them back up again. The balanced approach has been lost here. Unfortunately, has it been politicized? I don't know.
Phenomenal. We've never seen anything like it. Because of him and his high interest rates, the housing is less than it could be. We're going to get that straightened out very quickly. He gets out very quickly, fortunately. He's been the wrong guy. Not a bad person, I don't think, but I do think he has motives, by the way, but I don't consider him. I've dealt with worse, but he hasn't done the job. The recommendation from a certain person was not a great recommendation. That person vouched for him, but we're doing a very careful study. We'll see what happens. Look, we just put a very good man in one position. We might switch him to the other. It's a longer term and pick somebody else, but we're very happy with the person we have in there. And we'll have a majority very shortly, so that'll be great. Once we have a majority, housing is going to swing and it's going to be great. People are paying too high an interest rate. That's the only problem with housing. We have to get the rates down a little bit. And when we do, it's going to be a tremendous difference. The country is doing so well. It sort of blows through the fact that we have a man who's too late and not doing a very good job. Please, in blue.
Mr. President, regarding crime in D.C., something that might help especially ladies is being able to carry. I know you talked about reciprocal carry. Would you like for that to apply here in Washington, D.C.?
When you say carry, I assume you're talking about carry what we're talking about, right? In other words, carry a gun. Is that right? Would you like to carry a gun?
I would like to, yes, sir.
You'd feel a hell of a lot better, right?
I absolutely.
I agree with you 100%, okay?
Okay, great.
But I'll tell you, within another couple of weeks, it's hard to believe what's been accomplished in 12 days, but within another couple of weeks, you won't have to carry. You're not going to have to carry. You're going to be safe. People are safe now. The turn has gone fast. I knew it was going to go fast, but this turn has gone really fast. And within a month or two, this is going to be one of the safest places in the country. I have no doubt about it. And we'll do an extension. We'll work with Congress, or I could declare an emergency, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. We'll work with Congress. We're going to be working with Congress. I spoke with our great speaker, and I will be speaking to John Thune, and we're getting tremendous support from Congress, especially maybe here. Everybody wants to see our capital be great. Could say be great again. You know, it's such a beautiful place, but if you have crime, nothing looks beautiful. So, but you won't need to carry a gun, but if you do,
Well, I would like
it's
to
going to be
know
your
the
choice.
option, just in case.
Well, a lot of
Sure.
people feel that.
Also in other blue cities, you've got Karen Bass in Los Angeles, Brandon Johnson in Chicago. It seems to be very popular here, the fact that people can walk around, go to restaurants, shop, and
Yeah.
not have to worry about their safety. If blue city mayors propose those efforts in their cities, do you anticipate the Democrat voters are going to take it out on them at the...
I think so. I think that crime is going to be a big thing. And we are the party, the Republicans are the party that wants to stop crime. We're against crime. The Democrats like crime. I don't know why. I mean, we talk about common sense. I think I got elected on talking about common sense. The border, we have to have a wall. We don't want transgender for everybody. We don't, as I said before, we don't want to have men playing in women's sports. I mean, you see the difference. Weightlifting. Take a look at weightlifting. Take a look at long distance running, where a runner came in 5 hours and 14 minutes ahead of another runner, both champions. One male, one female. It's not fair. It's demeaning to women. It's so bad. But they have another one, and I think this is the beauty of them all: crime. They're against crime prevention. You can't do that. You can't do that. And I think to myself, I say, is there some game? You know, they're smart people. Is there anybody that could cheat like that in elections is smart, okay? And there's never been in history anybody that could cheat like that. They're smart. They're brilliant in many ways. I say, is there some trick to this? When they say, Trump is in Washington, D.C., stopping crime. He's a dictator. And people are being mugged like your brilliant associate here. I don't know how you're alive. I mean, based on that story, you got very lucky. You didn't just...
I'll be right back, guys. Keep going here. Again, this is an unprecedented cabinet meeting. 3 hours long. Unbelievable.
All he had to do is this, right? And, you know, it's pretty amazing. So we have something. I think we have two things. I think what Bobby was talking about with respect to drug prices is unbeatable. Nobody else could have done it but us. And I think that crime will be the big subject of the midterms and will be the big subject of the next election. Think of it. They are, instead of saying, Trump's right about crime, it's really bad in Chicago. You have a guy in Illinois, the governor of Illinois, saying that crime has been much better in Chicago recently, and Trump is a dictator. And most people say, if you call him a dictator, if he stops crime, he can be whatever he wants. I'm not a dictator, by the way, but he can be whatever he wants. I think it's going to be a big subject for the midterms, and I think the Republicans are going to do really well. They called it a trap. This Democrat consultant, they said, he's put him in a trap again, because these are all traps. You know, 80-20, but they're not 80-20. They're almost 100-0, all these issues. But I would say that crime is stronger than men playing in women's sports. I think it's stronger than transgender for everybody. You know, it's transgender for everybody, according to them. It's stronger. Of course, this is the cause of it, open borders. Open borders gave us a lot of this crime. So, you know, so they're sort of on an equal footing, I guess. But crime is going to be a very big subject. And you know what he should do if he was smart? Illinois or New York.
So, comment from Ravel. Where'd it go? It disappeared on me now. I lost it, but something to the effect of there it is. He's on a tangent now. He's defensive. I mean, Obama also would kind of meander a bit, but kind of do so expressing his thoughts, kind of thinking out loud with the audience, right? I don't see this as being any different than that.
Or if they want, or Gavin Newsom, they should call me and they should say, you know, we've got a problem. You know, we could solve with this team, different players, but work the same way, because you'd leave them here. You don't want to take them out and let it go to hell. Everybody's so happy and I bet you walked over here today and you had no fear. Nobody has any fear anymore. For the last 12 days, But if they, it would be so smart. Gavin Newsom called me up, say, you know what, we have a big problem. We have the Olympics coming up. We want to do well. We have tremendous problems on crime and other things, and would love some help. Chicago in particular, maybe right now. I mean, it's a disaster. It's a disaster. We could solve their problem in, it's bigger than this, let's say 2 months, okay? Working with their police. I know their police very well. I have a big project in Chicago. I was so proud of it. It's the best site in Chicago. I got it. Nobody else got it. I was happy as hell. That was when I was a real estate guy, and I got it. The Sun Times site, they call it. And I built the building. It's a great building. And I'm so embarrassed when I see the kind of crime stats coming out there. So embarrassed. And if I were a governor, a Democrat governor, or mayor, or anybody having to do, I'd call up President Trump. I'd say, President Trump, we need your help. We saw what you've done in D.C. in a period of 12 days. This is 12 days. We haven't even started. This is going to be so safe. It's going to be the safest place on earth. And we'll do the same thing in Chicago. But I'd like to be asked, as opposed to just going in and doing it. Because, you know, when you go in and do it, then they start screaming, oh, he shouldn't be here. We don't need him. We're doing so well. And then the better we do, they take credit for it. So it's really pretty unfair. Yes, go ahead.
Crime, for a lot of victims like myself, a big concern is long-term sustainability. Can you share with the American public about your plan in ensuring that DC is safe in the long term?
Longer term, yeah. Well, it's a great question. Number one, we want to stay there for longer than 30 days, as you know. We have an absolute mandate, and I can extend it, but I'd rather not have to declare a national emergency, because by that time, I mean, right now there's not an emergency. We've done, as you sort of said yourself, it feels like a different world. We've got under arrest and prosecution, and we've thrown out, taken some, and we're in the process of taking hundreds out of our country that shouldn't be here. And these are hardcore professional criminals. They were born to be criminals, in my opinion, but they're seriously bad people. Murderers, drug dealers, you know them all. You see them all as you walk beautifully to work, and every once in a while somebody puts a gun to your head, because that's what happened in your case. We're getting a lot of them out of the country. We're putting a lot of them in prison because we're afraid to bring them out of the country. They could come back. You know, as good as we're doing, they could come back. We don't want them back. And that's going to solve a lot of it. We also think there should be a presence here for long enough. We should also work with our police department, because you have very good police here. Very good. We're working very well with them, by the way. And we have to work together for a while. We have some people that are very tough and very strong. Working with the police, they're going to be able to handle it. And you know what? If it gets a little bit bad, just a little bit, I'll bring them back in and we'll straighten it out and we'll make it perfect. You're going to be so safe in the city. And you're going to have the city beautified. We're going to be giving out, we're working with Clark, as you know, construction. They're the biggest. They're working with me also. We're building a beautiful ballroom for the White House. They've been after it for 150 years, employs a lot of people. It's going to be as beautiful a ballroom as has ever been built. And Clark is the big builder in this city. They've done, I guess, a majority of the good work, the big work. And we're working with them on the beautification, the fixing up of the roads, the fixing up of the medians, between the roads, so cars don't wrap into each other. They wrap into, I have one piece sitting on the ground for weeks. This was a year ago when I had to come in, unfortunately, for fake court cases, and I looked at the condition. We have it fixed up a lot right now. You know, the tents are removed and a lot of things have taken place. But I'd come into this city and I'd say, boy, does it look bad. The filth on the roads, the medians were broken and always laying down, and nobody would fix them, and all of that. Well, we're going to have new medians. We're going to have a nice topping put on the road. We're not going to rip the roads apart and start a construction project that lasts for 2.5 years as they rebuild the road, which they don't have to do. And we're going to have this place so beautiful. That's going to be a part of it. Now, the biggest part is crime, but it's also a part, you know, when you see a dirty city, it's like I told, I don't know, it became the #1 thing viral. I said my father is a smart guy, he's a great guy, he's a loving, wonderful father, but he could be a little on the tough side. He told me that, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty, filthy door going into the restaurant, don't go there because the kitchen's dirty also. When they see a dirty Capitol, the rest of the world, they lose a lot of respect for our country. This Capitol is going to be so beautiful. We're going to have new poles, new lights, new fences. It's stuff that, when you add it up, it's money, but it's peanuts compared to what we're talking about. And we're also going to have great safety.
Mr. President, I wanted to ask you on crime and also a question on foreign policy that maybe other officials can weigh into. And on crime, Iris shared her story, and you mentioned, people going to dinner.
That was a terrible story. I'm just amazed she's here. When the gun is Pam, when the gun is put to the head. Did they ever capture these people, by the way?
I kept calling, but I haven't heard back about this guy.
It'd be really great if you could maybe give the information. She's very good at capturing people, She's very good. If you could give that information to Pam, would be great. Would you do that?
Yes,
All right. Wouldn't you'd love to see them? I would assume you'd like to see them captured.
For sure.
You can't. You just can't.
For years.
Yeah, take a good look at that.
So,
Go ahead. So go ahead.
Just a few weeks ago, I was out to dinner with my husband, and then, we're taking the metro back, and then we get attacked on the metro. They're throwing things, some teenagers, throwing liquid at us.
Oh, they're throwing things. They throw. How about where they chop down the granite curbs and the concrete curbs? But the granite curbs so expensive. Those granite curbs. No.
Isn't this interesting? The reporters are having this conversation with the president that they themselves have been subjected to so much, having to operate and work out of D.C., that this is a welcome change for them. Isn't that an odd dynamic? A lot of the folks in the press here being so supportive of it because they, day in and day out, they have to deal with it.
Nobody uses them because they're so expensive. And you see a guy chopping them and handing out big chunks of them like a brick because they couldn't get in because people were stopping them from walking out. A little bit unusual when you're walking with a bag of bricks. Generally speaking, Sean, that's not a good sign. Right? That's not a good sign. But they now come in with hammers. They can disguise a hammer, and they start pounding the concrete and the granite, and they hand out chunks. And those people take those chunks and start throwing them at cops, or they stand on the top of bridges and they drop them down into the windshield of your car, and you get killed running into a light pole. It's those days are over.
I wanted to ask you, Governor Hochul, Kathy Hochul, said that she spoke to you on the phone, and you said you might send National Guard troops to New York. You mentioned that. So will you?
I'd love to do it. If she'd like, I get along with Kathy. If she'd like to do that, I would do it. See, look, New York has difficulty like other, and I don't want to make this I want to make this friendly, but.
Yeah, this is kind of a thin line that Hochul's walking here, where she needs some of the support from Trump potentially, but doesn't want to outwardly come out and accept his support, right?
The places we're talking about happen to be virtually all Democrat run. Now, take a look at your 25 places that are most troubled. Everyone, except maybe one, and it's way back in number 24 or 25, but essentially 25 out of 25 are run by Democrats, and cashless bail was a disaster. When they did that, and I believe...
Hey, Justin, Social Security is going to be all right. I don't think you should be worrying about Social Security.
It was instituted first in New York, but when they did cashless bail, that was a tragedy for this, because that's when it really started getting bad. When somebody kills somebody, you don't say you can come out, you don't have to put up anything. You put that person in jail and you find out whether or not it's true, but you don't give cashless bail with a promise to come back in a couple of months, we'll start talking to you, because they go out and they kill other people, and you can't do that. The cashless bail has been, it's just a woke thing. It's got to stop. You see that, Christy, better than anybody. It's got to stop. It causes unbelievable, and we're doing that. We're stopping it in D.C. I would love to have the governor of Illinois call me and say, look, we have a problem in Chicago. We will stop that problem in Chicago in 2 months, maybe less, 2 months. We'll stop it. These are tough cookies we have working for us. These are tough cookies. These are not politically correct soldiers that I won't go into definitions of what that means, but these are not politically correct soldiers. These are rough guys. I watched it last night. I see it. I saw them the other day when we went down and we spent some time together with them. These are tough cookies. These are not people that you're going to laugh at and spit in their face and they're not going to do anything about it. And these people, they're afraid these gang members who are bad people too. These are just bad people. Ours are bad, but they're bad in a good sense, right? You don't understand that, Scott? And we can solve Chicago in 2 months. Now, then, as per your statement before, we have to keep it going, and we'll be able to keep it going. The first thing you have to do is get it down. We are very close to being in that position in D.C., and within a month, we will be, within a month from when we started, which is quicker than I thought. You're gonna feel very, very safe. I think you feel very safe right now. But I would love it to have these governors, mayors call me and say, we'd like to invite you into our community because we have a problem and you can handle the problem and we can't. One other thing, sanctuary cities, they should be terminated. They're sanctuary for criminals. They're safety and security for criminals. They are very, very bad. And all of these places have big sanctuary cities, and all they're doing is protecting criminals. Okay.
About Lisa Cook. You have spoken out very strongly for a long time about what you see as the weaponization of government.
Yeah.
Is your administration weaponizing
No.
government by digging into the mortgage records of officials you don't like?
No, they're public. I mean, you can find out those records. You can go check out the records yourself. And you should be doing that job, actually. You wouldn't do that because that's not the kind of reporter you are. But you should be doing that job. I shouldn't have to be doing it. If you did your job properly, we wouldn't have problems like Lisa Cook. Go ahead. You were going to say something?
So would you be trying
Go.
to fire
Blue?
Lisa Cook if she had voted to lower interest rates?
On national
Please.
security.
I think we have to have lower interest rates. Yes.
A follow-up question for you and Madam Attorney General on national security. We've heard from Stephen Miller yesterday in the Oval Office that there are street criminals here in D.C. who are actually found to be doing business with transnational criminal cartels overseas.
Right. And we know who they are, and we know who they're doing business with. And we're arresting the people, very strongly arresting, and we're keeping them there because, you know, your laws here make it very difficult. And one of the other laws we're trying to get done, because you have 14-year-old kids that are just as tough as a 25-year-old kid, just as dangerous, and they carry the same gun. And we have to make a provision where they're treated like older people, because these are seriously tough, bad. They're children, but they're criminals, and they're really bad criminals. And they're used by older people because they never get charged because you can't do anything to them. But we are getting that changed, Pam, I hope, because you have 14-year-old kids that are evil, they're sick, and they have to be put away. Something has to be done because you can't have a society where they're allowed to walk the street. You know that better than anybody.
Mr. President, on your way to Alaska.
I can't believe it. You're not tired holding that? Look at this. How strong are you? How strong are you? Look at him. He's been holding that thing for 3 hours. You're a good fisherman. Go ahead.
On the way to Alaska, you had mentioned that there would be severe consequences if Vladimir Putin did not agree to a ceasefire.
Yeah.
After that summit that was rolled back, given the negotiations, is he back on the clock now?
I want to see that deal end. It's very, very serious what I have in mind if I have to do it, but I want to see it end. I think that in many ways he's there. Sometimes he'll be there and Zelensky won't be there. You know, it's like, who do we have today? I got to get them both at the same time. But I want to have it end. We have economic sanctions. I'm talking about economic, because we're not going to get into a world war. I'll tell you what, in my opinion, if I didn't win this race, Ukraine could have ended up in a world war. We're not going to end up in a world war anymore, but it would have ended up possibly in a world war. That would have been they were ready to trot. But just like India and Pakistan, we're going to end up in a nuclear war if I didn't stop them. You know, it's sort of strange. I saw they were fighting. Then I saw 7 jets were shot down. I said, that's not good. That's a lot of jets, you know. $150 million planes were shot down. A lot of them, 7, maybe more than that. They didn't even report the real number. And I'm talking to...
Folks, a lot of people throw around the fascist term. What does that mean exactly? Everybody just throws it out freely, but in terms of Trump's behavior, or what exactly are y'all referencing?
A very terrific man, Modi, of India. And I say, what's going on with you in Pakistan? Then I'm talking to Pakistan on trade. I said, what's going on with you in India? And the hatred was tremendous. Now, this has been going on for a hell of a long time, like sometimes with different names for hundreds of years. But I said, what's going on? I said, I don't want to make a trade deal. No, we want to make a trade deal. I said, no, I don't want to make a trade deal with you. You're going to have a nuclear war. You guys are going to end up in a nuclear war. And that was very important to them. I said, call me back tomorrow, but we're not going to do any deals with you, or we're going to put tariffs on you that are so high. You were there, Howard, right? Yeah. You're going to put tariffs on you that was so high, I don't give a damn. Your head's going to spin. You're not going to end up in a war. Within about 5 hours, it was done. It was done. Now, maybe it starts again. I don't know. I don't think so, but I'll stop it if it does. We can't let these things happen. The Russia-Ukraine situation, last week, 7,012 soldiers, 7,012 soldiers died. They were Russian, they were Ukrainian, they weren't American, so a lot of people would say, what do you care? They're not American. I care. They're 12,000 over the last couple of weeks.
All right, so sorry the chat's going quick for me, but where did it go? Justin, thanks for chiming in on this. Fascist is when he thinks it's okay to jail people for speech. Just one creepy hiding man. Who has he jailed for speech?
Where 12,000 people died in like in 2 weeks. You know, we're talking about.
I mean, keep in mind, he went to Scotland to his own personal castle to meet with the PM of the UK, Keir Starmer, and the press asked about the importance of free speech, looking to see if he would kind of take a jab at Starmer, and he did, because the free speech laws in the UK are, well, I mean, it's just about non-existent at this point. It's a really sad situation.
Crime where somebody's killed here or somebody. Think of it. You have your son leaving Russia, leaving Ukraine, their little house, wherever they live with their parents. They're waving goodbye, just like our parents would wave goodbye. And they're waving goodbye, son. And then a week later, his head's blown off in a stupid war by a drone, a whole new form of military problem. So, no, I'd like it to stop. I want to get it to stop. And it will not be a world war, but it'll be an economic war. And an economic war is going to be bad. And it's going to be bad for Russia, and I don't want that. Now, I have to also see, because not everybody, Zelensky's not exactly innocent either, okay? It takes two people to tango, and I say it all the time. You got to get them together. I get along with Zelensky now, but we have a much different relationship, because now we're not paying any money to Ukraine. Stop that. We're paying money to ourselves. What's happening is NATO is buying all of the equipment and paying in full. But even with that, forget about that. I want to get it stopped, because it's a lot of lives that are being lost. Every week it's 7,000, 5,000, 6,000. I get the reports, and I see battlefields. I'd rather not see them. And you read about Gettysburg. You read about Gettysburg, and you see those 600,000 people. But in that war in particular, it was really bad, like 150,000 or something, just dead body. I'm seeing the same. I see pictures. I see satellite pictures of heads over here, arms over here, legs over here. And this is like a modern age. It's no different than the worst wars that I've ever seen. And if I can stop it because I have a certain power or a certain relationship. I had a very good relationship with President Putin. Very, very good. That's a positive thing again. And I think I'm probably the only. Steve Witkoff would tell you I'm the only one that can solve it. I don't know. You've told me that a few times, unless he was saying that just to build up my ego, but it's not really. I have no ego when it comes to this stuff.
Somebody mentioned, I missed it now, they're just, where do they go? Oh, they're just parroting rhetoric. It says, green thumb. Green thumb. Let me know if you're all for the Green New Deal. Anyway, just parroting rhetoric. I think that he's kind of stating his principles. This is the foundation upon which he makes decisions, and a lot of his policies are based on.
I just want to see it stop. Thousands of young people, mostly young people, are dying every single week. if I can save that by
Yeah, good point, Stephen. I mean, Trump voters are extremely wise. I mean, imagine that, folks. All of these good things happening. As time goes on, things will continue to get, I think, even better. I do think there is going to be a bit of a dip, a significant one economically, because for a variety of reasons. We'll cover that in a different stream, but it's carryover from the past 4 years.
doing sanctions or by just being me, or by using a very strong tariff system that's very costly to Russia or Ukraine or whoever we have, But I stopped 7 wars, and 3 of those wars were going on for more than 30 years. If you look at Congo, if you look at, just look at any of them, almost all of them were going on for an extended period of time. Now, interestingly, one had just started. It was 2 days old, and you know that one. And we did that one when we were in Scotland negotiating. It was 2 days, but there were 2,000 dead bodies laying on the border, and I got that one stopped too. And I'm very honored by that, but the one that I thought would be the easiest is turning out to be the hardest. That's President Putin and President Zelensky, but I think I'll get it done.
Why do you think that? Why is it harder than you thought it could be?
You never know. It's war.
Can you stop the family?
With war, you never know, right? War's very tricky, very horrible, but with war, you never know. Things change. People go into war, think they're going to win the war, and then they get their asses kicked, and they lose their country, and they lose millions of lives. Nobody goes into a war thinking they're going to lose. They go in. I'm sure that Ukraine thought they were going to win. It's going to be, we're going to win. You're going to beat somebody that's 15 times your size. Biden shouldn't have let that happen. Biden shouldn't have. I mean, the man was grossly incompetent. He should have never been there. That would have never happened. But you don't go into a war that's 15 times your size.
Do you think
Say it.
Fed just put out a statement saying that Lisa Cook has indicated through a personal attorney that she'll promptly challenge this action in court, seek a judicial decision that would.
All right, this is an interesting one. Now, let's see how he responds. The Federal Reserve Board Governor Lisa Cook has been removed. Mortgage fraud has been cited, similar to Adam Schiff. Earlier questions were asked about mortgage fraud specifically, but let's see how he talks about the lawsuit that has been pushed out there. Will he uphold any court decision?
Confirm her ability to continue.
That's all right, whatever it
It
is.
says the Fed will abide by any court decision.
Thank you very much for reading
You abide
it.
by a court decision.
I abide by the court, yeah. I abide by the court. Yes, please. That's enough. That's enough.
Mr.
Go ahead.
President, what other companies are you thinking about taking stake in?
Well, we didn't take a stake in the sense that it was reported. Everyone said, I bought a stake in Intel. No, I got it for free. I said I was with the...
I got it for free. So taxpayers own part of Intel now. We need that thing to skyrocket. Make that the next NVIDIA.
Is that a correct statement? Howard was there.
Absolutely correct.
Scott knew all about it. They came in. A man was charged with something by a very good person. Senator Cotton made some statements about the gentleman that was running Intel. When he came in, and I said some rough things about him, I said, I'm not happy with it. And they called, and he was very devastated at what I said. I said he should immediately resign. And he came to see me, and I was very impressed by him, actually. And he made a mistake, or factors happened where something like this could have taken place. And in the meantime, his board was staying by him. And I said to him, and it took about, I would say, less than 45 seconds. I said, you know what you should do if you're smart? Give the United States of America 10% of your company. And he looked at me and he said, I'll do that. I said, I just made $11 billion for the United States. And we made the deal. I didn't pay, we didn't write a check. Now, I guess Biden, with his stupid CHIPS Act, handed money to all these people that didn't need any money. It didn't do anything. They're giving billions of dollars to everybody. They all have so much money, and they have more money. But there's no commitment that you had to build. They just took all this money. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
All right, question in the chat. What do you think of Trump's past bankruptcy? He's committed lots of fraud. Really? He's committed lots of fraud? He owes money to contractors. He hired and never paid. how is his past fraud excusable? I don't think there have been past frauds. The court cases were clearly politically driven, the recent ones here. The bankruptcies, when you're a billionaire, you don't operate individual businesses. You're not running day-to-day things in those businesses. At his level of wealth, you have a portfolio of companies that you manage, and you set targets. It'll hit this level of cash flow. It'll hit these margins. There's different targets, and you monitor that, and you have people you've hired to bring ideas to the table as to how they can maximize the margins and cash flow and so forth. And you give things a timetable. If you're not able to turn around an asset that's kind of teetering, not doing so well, if you're not able to turn that around within a few years, you don't want to continue investing in that. You shut it down. You sell it off, or in this case, they bankrupted those companies. They just closed them down. Close those down, take the proceeds from whatever sales happened in bankruptcy and put that into the winners and double down on those investments. I mean, that's portfolio management. You look at any major company, and that's standard practice.
See, with tariffs, they have to come in, because if they don't come in, they can't sell into our country. So it's power, and you don't have to give up any money. But I said to him very simply, I mean, I'm glad we're straightening this out, because everyone thinks I bought in. No. I said, it would be great, we'd be a great partner for you, and I want to see Intel do well. You know, Intel was a great company, and it can be a great company again. But I said, I think it would be good if we own 10% of your company. He said, I'll make that deal. And it happens to be worth $11 billion. So we made $11 billion for the country, and then I was criticized by some of the fake news media. That's not the American way. Actually, it is the American way. Now, if I can help other countries or do those deals with others, I would do that. I think it's great. It's good. Builds up our balance sheet. Let me tell you, our country is becoming very rich again. You don't see it. When the CBO came out on Friday and said, we just found $4 trillion, and that goes to reduce our deficit, $4 trillion, and it was from the tariffs. Our country is becoming very, very rich again. I hope you get used to it. You know, you're going to have to get used to it.
Guys, I just want to send some well wishes to Gary Area. It sounds like he's having a really bad day. I hope things improve for you, Gary.
Congress reducing the deficit. Any update on your previous talking about potentially giving Americans a tariff rebate check? Any
Well, we have a lot of money.
Scared of big bad Dems? How come lights are off? I'll tell you what, I'll make the lights blue if it'll make you more comfortable. How about that? Siri, make the study lamps blue. There you go.
Coming in, rebate check for the Americans, and it's coming in at tremendous numbers. Don't forget, I would say, Scott, we probably are talking about right now 50%, maybe even less than that. With all the money you're hearing is coming in, you're talking about, a lot of it hasn't kicked in yet. And when it really kicks in is in 2 years when these plants are built and opened and the money starts pouring in, right? But, there's a concept of making you could call it a dividend, as we would say, making a dividend to the people in this country who have had to suffer through stupid leadership. And they paid a lot of taxes and they got nothing for it. Or they got attacked like you were, okay, for it. No, there's a possibility. Primarily, we want to pay down debt, but there's a possibility that we take a piece of it and make a dividend to the people.
Mr. President, I have a question for Steve Witkoff, if I may.
Yeah.
This past weekend, Sergei Lavrov was saying that Putin will not sign a peace deal with Zelensky because Russia views him as illegitimate. I'm just wondering if the Russians had been relaying this to your team, if they view Zelensky,
Now, this is interesting, right? That these comments have been said, but watch how Trump responds to this, right? A lot of times other politicians would beat around the bush, not address it, but watch how he addresses this, right? You talk about transparency and how folks are kind of being able to see that play out in real time here.
As a leader worth signing a peace deal with, if they will go to the table.
Doesn't matter what they say. Steve can answer, but I can answer it too. Doesn't matter what they say. Everybody's posturing. It's all bullshit, okay? Everybody's posturing.
How'd you like that? My Lord, everyone's posturing. It's all BS. Unreal. I have never heard a politician be so straightforward about things and just kind of call it like it is. I mean, how can you not like that? I do want to recognize some top commenters real quick. Alba, I see you putting a bunch of stuff in the chat. Thanks for your engagement. Loca, Tracy King, Andy Korst, Gary Area, I do appreciate you very much. Alvarado, Trudy, CJP, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for your engagement, and everyone else as well in the chat.
Steve, do you have a different answer?
I agree with you, sir.
Here in this city, there are 500 people short on the police department, Metropolitan Police. In New York City, it's 3,000. In Chicago, it's 1,300. Would they have had to bring in troops from the National Guard if the police departments in this country were fully staffed? Defund the police. How bad did that turn out for America?
It's an interesting question. I was surprised when I heard how many police were here. It's not a really big area. And I think they said they're down to 3,200 police or something like that. I said, that's a lot of police. And I was a little bit surprised because to me that's a big force. And it's not a big area, but it is what it is. There's a lot of crime. You have a lot of, don't forget, you have a lot of police that weren't allowed to do their job. When I came in, as you remember, we made tremendous strides in a little conflict that we had going at the time because I allowed our military to make the decision. I said, you can make any decision you want. I gave it to the colonels in the field. I gave it to the captains in the field. You remember that where everything went through Biden, meaning one of the people, and everything went through Obama before him. Everything went through. They had to make the decision as to whether or not to attack the Taliban. So they'd find 30 people together, they'd call up Washington, and they'd go to a political hack who knew nothing about it. My first night, I got that same call. They called me, and they said, we have I got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning because I listened to their system, and they were calling me and they were asking me whether or not they could attack a group of people having to do with you-know-what war I'm talking about. And I said, I know nothing about this. Wait a minute. And then I said, who is he? Let me speak to the people calling. They're calling from Afghanistan. And I said, let me speak to the people. I want to speak to them. And it was a colonel. I said, where'd you go to school, Colonel? I went to West Point, sir. Were you a good student? I was, sir. I was a very good student. So you're calling the White House to ask for permission to attack, and by the time you get the answer, how long does it take? Sometimes 2 or 3 weeks. So by the time you get the answer, the people that you want to attack have already left, right? He said, how did you know that, sir? I said, let me ask you, so you're a good student, you went to West Point, and you love the military, right? You make the decision. And I gave all those guys that went to all these great schools, and they're all military people, I gave them the right to make their own decision, and we kicked ISIS's ass. Don't forget.
It's a very important point he just made there, right? He's empowering others in his leadership team and throughout the government that are in positions of leadership to make their own decisions. A lot of times the media characterizes him as being completely unitary. Everything has to run through him, but you watch his interactions, you watch what's happened in this cabinet meeting. This is Q&A now with the press, so it's a lot of questions because the press wants to hear directly from Trump, and he knows that. But he gave all of his cabinet members opportunity to kind of take the lead, talk about their contributions, their work, their leadership, and he allowed them to kind of just take that on themselves. There was comments earlier as to why isn't Trump speaking, and that's why, and that's an example of it, that he wants others to bring their talents to the table and to make their decisions where they have expertise.
ISIS was supposed to be, was supposed to take 5 years to terminate him, and we had a man named Raisin Kane, who happens to have done the whole thing in Iran. He's a great general, and he's a wonderful guy too, believe it or not, but he's a great soldier. We let them do their work, and we defeated ISIS. We defeated everybody. Every fight that we had militarily that I had, I won. And I let these great soldiers do some make a mistake, I guess. But like this colonel, I'll never forget it. where did you go to school? I went to West Point, sir. I did ask him a question. I like good students as opposed to bad students. He said, I was a good student, sir. And I said, you do what's necessary. And, you know, I don't want to sound overly vicious, but he wiped out the entire group of very bad people that want to kill us. So you have to let them do their job. In Washington, they're not allowed to do their job, okay? They're not allowed. You have great police. You have great police, but they're not allowed. Hello. Go ahead.
On Congress, Mr. President, would you be open to a year-long continuing resolution?
I'm always open to whatever is necessary. Here's the problem in Congress. You have Democrats that will never vote for anything. I could say that we're going to lower your taxes by 50%. We're going to guarantee you free cities, safe cities. Nobody will ever get touched, molested, beat up, shot in the head. We're going to give you the greatest country ever. We need your vote. And they won't vote. And they do it in unison. The only thing they do good is cheat on elections and unite. You know why they unite? Not because they're good or they're loyal people. They unite because they're afraid. They're afraid.
Unite because they're afraid. That's a really good point. A lot of things being fear-driven, right? The identity politics, a lot of that is fear-driven. It's proven to be effective. So they continue to do it. I just want to call out Linda, Wagner, Scott, Luke, Myron, Elijah, Alma, Anthony, Hank. I appreciate you guys subscribing here, recent subscribers. Thanks for jumping in with me.
Of the radical left, and you can't get their vote. So we have a vote coming up at the end of September, and I think we're going to pass it because we have the majority. And I think almost every Republican will vote for an extension. Because no matter what deal you make with these people, look at Schumer. He made a deal a year and a half ago, and after making the deal, he's been almost run out of the party. He's not the same man. He's not the same man. He's finished. He aged 20 years. He's become a Palestinian, by the way. We call him our great Palestinian senator. But Chuck Schumer, and I wrote him a letter. I said, Chuck,
That has to be one of the funniest things I've heard. I can't even believe he says the stuff he says sometimes.
Really great. Thank you very much. And somebody gave the letter to the press, not me. And he was destroyed because they thought I was being sarcastic, and I wasn't. He made a great decision. It kept our country open. That was a positive. But you can count on almost no vote. I mean, I see things. I'll give you an example, crime. So we're going to pass a bill to stop crime. We may not get one Democrat vote, okay? We may not get one. So when you say continuing resolution, I guess so, and it's going to be passed exclusively by Republicans.
On farm
Mr. President,
visas,
why do you use
you mentioned in
continuing
Iowa that
resolution,
you wanted to see
sir?
some changes to the H-2A visa
Yeah.
program for farm workers.
Right.
You mentioned in Iowa that you want to see changes. Do you want to see that before the fall harvest?
Well, I love both groups, and we take care of our farmers, and we also take care of the people that want bad people out of our country. And we're working on something that's going to work really well. We take care of our farmers, but we also have to take care of those people that voted for me because they don't want criminals in our country. And we're working on something where we can take care of both.
Mr. President, you were talking about the CBO report that two of your cabinet members were talking about. I remember back on Liberation Day, many of us reporters covered your detractors, people saying that it was going to explode the deficit and therefore explode the debt. Who all has called you to say I was wrong?
I think they're introducing new reporters in there to kind of provide a check and balance to some of the legacy reporting staff that had traditionally been as part of the White House. I think it's great, right? The bickering back and forth that happens sometimes between them.
That's very good. You know the answer to that. Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Governor Pritzker said yesterday that at a press conference that he would encourage nonviolent resistance to the National Guard if they were sent to Chicago. What's your response to that?
He said what?
That he would encourage nonviolent resistance if the National Guard is sent to Chicago.
Look, this guy doesn't know what resistance is or nonviolent resistance is. He's a bad politician. It's amazing. I mean, if he didn't have the money, he wouldn't get any votes because there's no compelling reason to vote for him. The guy's a major loser. But it would be nice if he would call me. I would change my mind immediately. He said, Because everybody knows Chicago is a hellhole right now. Everybody knows it. It's not like he's saying Chicago has much better numbers, right? Well, what's much better? You mean 100 people are going to be murdered? It's going to be much more than that. So
I have to say, I was in Chicago recently, and I had a nice time, but it's because we were kind of in a bubble. It's not to say we didn't see some vagrants and this and that around us, but we were very conscious of that. But there are portions that you cannot go to.
I would have much more respect for Pritzker if he'd call me up and say, I have a problem, can you help me fix it? I would be so happy to do it. I don't love, not that I don't have the right to do anything I want to do. I'm the President of the United States. If I think our country's in danger, and it is in danger in these cities, I can do it. No problem going in and solving, his difficulties. But it would be nice if they'd call and they'd say, would you do it? And we do it in conjunction. Now, we work very well with the police because we naturally get along with the police. So the police and us work really well together, whether the mayor is opposed or whether, you have a really rotten mayor there too. He's got a 6% approval rating in Chicago. And I see black women wearing a red MAGA hat last night on television. Please let the president come in. My son was attacked. You have a force of black women. They're like only Trump. They want Trump to come in. And you see them, they're all over the place in Chicago because they're afraid to go out and they don't want their son or their daughter killed, just like your parents didn't want you killed. And we have a tremendous, look, it's not about winning elections because we want to have nice, fair elections. It's not politics. We want to see a safe country. You have people that want to see a safe country, and they're great people. You have great people in Chicago. The mayor is at 6% approval. He's an incompetent man. He should have never been put in a position like that. He can't handle it. You have an incompetent governor there. You have an incompetent governor in California, Gavin. I know him very well. He's incompetent. He's a nice guy, looks good. Hi, everybody. How you doing? He's got some strange hand action going. I don't know what the hell his problem is. It's a little weird, to be honest. There's a little something shaky going on there. But, all he has to do is call me and say, we have the Olympics coming up. We want to make it really good and safe. And I'll put some really good, great American patriots in there, and you won't have any problems. Don't forget, it's loaded up with some stone cold killers, some really bad people, some people that were just born to be bad. They're criminals, bad criminals, dangerous. And we can solve the problem for them very quickly. Very quickly. Okay, you know what I think? I think this. You have not had this happen for 4 years. You sat and you'd ask one question to Biden, and it was always the ice cream question, right? What flavor ice cream do you like best? I like vanilla. And that was the end of the conference. I think now we've done enough. These people are very busy. I want to just thank, this is the greatest, this has never been done before. First of all, a cabinet meeting was sacred. You'd never let the fake news media in. But the fake news media isn't all fake. A lot of it is, but it's not all. I think it's a great thing. I think maybe it's going to be done in the future. I hope it's going to be done. But you really get the word out. We had, each one of these people spoke. I think each one, if I thought one of them did badly, I would call that person out. I would say, Christy, what the heck are you doing? No, seriously, you have a very talented group of people. They get along, they work along together. And there's something really nice about just, the openness of what we're doing. It's government. It's an open government. That's what we are. And we haven't made too many mistakes. Maybe we'll, but we haven't made too many mistakes. We've called it right. And I think you can be very proud of your country. We are a respected country again. We are really, right now, respected at the highest level, and we're doing great. And we're a very rich country again, very rich. And that's a good thing, because when we're rich, we can take care of poor. And that's what we're doing. And we're taking care of crime. And I hope, just in finishing, I hope that Illinois, I hope that New York, I hope that California, I hope they call me and they say, I'd love to have you come in and help us out. I will be a totally different person with them. I will respect them for doing it. Thank you all very much. Thank you, everybody.
And there you have it. The marathon cabinet meeting where we got way more information in these 3 or so hours, probably a little bit more than we did in all 4 years of Biden's administration. And at the end, what a way to close it out by calling out the press, only asking the ice cream question of Biden the entire time, effectively being complicit with masking what was going on behind the scenes, the auto pen, the whole thing. Whether or not that'll come out, I don't know. But for now, guys, I appreciate you. Thanks to everybody that subscribed. I appreciate all the folks that engaged in the chat. I'll see you guys next time.
The words of the liar's mouth, causing their followers doubt. One voice shouts above the crowd, the message of political cow. Conspiracies abound inside their twisted sound. One voice shouts above the crowd, the message of political cow. Political cow. Their lies are on the ground. Fake news is breaking down at the sound of political cow. Followers of a false belief, subject to endless grief. She helps to bring them relief. The influence of political cow. All your community loves you. We know that your heart is true. We would be lost without you. The influence of political cow.